Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Again, Joe Otto is out of town, so it's me solo today. And we're going to be talking about what was going on in the last 24 hours, which is that Donald Trump has now left the hospital. He went back to the White House. His doctors are reporting that he is symptom-free. Let me see if I have that. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and put up my screen, Mr. Producer. This is straight from Kayleigh McEnany, memorandum for the president, physician to the president. Kayleigh McEnany says, I released the following information with the permission of President Donald J. Trump. This morning, the president's team of physicians met with him in the residence. He had a restful first night at home, and today he reports no symptoms. Vital signs and physical exams remain stable with an ambulatory oxygen saturation level of 95 to 97%. Overall, he continues to do extremely well. I will provide updates as we know more. So that should be cause for celebration. The president of the United States looks like he is going to be okay. Now, obviously, things can still happen. His doctors say they're cautiously optimistic, but Donald Trump, at least for the moment, appears to be okay. He appears like he's going to beat this thing. Now, you would think that all of the leftists who just days ago were saying, oh, well, we don't wish the president ill. We wish him well. We pray for him. Remember Rachel Maddow said pray for Donald Trump and Melania? You would think that the very same leftists who just days ago were praying for him would at least keep the charade up until he had been home for a day. But no, Donald Trump going home broke liberals. He broke the left. The idea that him, a 74-year-old man, would get COVID-19, go to a hospital, and be home in 3 days and be reporting no symptoms. It broke the left. The left is broken. So we're going to cover just how broken they've gotten. But before we do, I need to make sure that I ask you, please do like the video on Facebook. Please do hit the share button. Please do comment on YouTube. Please do give us a thumbs up. Please do subscribe if you haven't already and hit the bell for notifications. So before we get into the way the media is covering this, I want to show you what actually happened. Because it couldn't be farther from the story that the media is trying to paint. Let's go ahead and play Cut 1. This is Donald Trump returning to the White House from the hospital. Amazing. It's like a Michael Bay trailer. Putting down the steps, here comes Donald Trump. Waving to everyone. He gets to the portico, takes his mask off to salute the men who just flew him back from the hospital. That's what happened last night. And leftists are furious. They are furious. You would have thought that on the way into the White House, Donald Trump kicked a puppy. That is how furious and angry the left is. And I think that's for two reasons, if we're being completely honest. I saw a poll that said 40% of people who identify as Democrats were happy that Donald Trump had contracted COVID-19. Now, if that is representative of the population as a whole, then you could understand why they would be very upset that Donald Trump not only is going to survive, it looks like, coronavirus, but also was able to walk into the White House on his own 2 feet. Yeah, he looked a little winded at the top of the stairs, but there's a lot of stairs going up to that portico. So I think there is a segment of the left that is angry because they truly wanted Trump dead. And we went over last week naming and shaming all of the people that we could find before we went to air wishing Trump was dead. I think that's true. I also think that there's a contingent of the left that is furious because they've been pushing this narrative that if you get COVID-19, it's a 50-50 shot. It's bogus. It's absolutely bogus. In Donald Trump's age group, over 70 years old, survivability rates, according to the CDC, is over 95%. The younger you get, the more survivable COVID-19 is. And the media has presented this as a death sentence for anyone over 70. And here the president of the United States is out of the hospital in 3 days, back at home. So I think that that's the other half of it. That there are leftists who truly wish that Donald Trump would have died from this thing. And there are also leftists who are furious because they've been pushing this fear-mongering propaganda for months, and Donald Trump just completely walked all over it, right? If the narrative the media was sharing and was spoon-feeding us, if that was true, Donald Trump would still be in the hospital, right? But he isn't. And I think that's why they are also furious. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you think that it's a bit of both? Do you think it's one or the other? Let me know. And I do notice that someone in the comment section mentioned that I look younger. Yes, I look younger. I shaved that small woodland creature that was living underneath my chin. So that's gone. Anyone listening to the audio version won't see what I'm talking about. But yes, I did shave. And thank you if you say I look younger. I appreciate that. So I want to dive into this because, oh my God. The left, this is what I mean when I say Trump broke the left. He broke them. He absolutely broke them. We're going to watch some clips that are just so deranged, so like over the top fear-mongering, that the only way to describe it is that Donald Trump broke them. I want to play this clip from CNN. So we just showed the dramatic entrance. Yeah, sure, it has the dramatic Hollywood kind of soundtrack behind it. That's what happened. Donald Trump landed. He walked into the White House, took off his mask so he could salute and show that he's not going to die from this thing. And listen, Donald Trump wouldn't have to do these things if the media wasn't spreading these lies that he was declining. Oh, the doctors are lying to you. He's doing much worse. He's not out of the woods yet. He could be dying. That was what the media was sharing all weekend. So yeah, if you hate Trump for making that ride around the block to wave for to supporters, if you hate Trump for taking off the mask to salute the Marine One as it was leaving, if you hate him for that, realize the only reason he really had to do that was because the left was claiming he was on death's door. But I want to play how CNN covered his arrival back at the White House. Let's go ahead and play cut 2.
Well, clearly the photo up there, you saw the president walk up. He's standing there, and he did take off his mask, put it in his pocket. I don't know what kind of statement he's trying to make by showing off that he could take off his mask. Gives a thumbs up over there, but it's clearly all about the photo op. The president wants to show he's back in action, and that's why he took off his mask, trying to give some sort of symbolic gesture there, and it's not necessarily the right gesture to give at this point.
He took off his mask. I'm not sure what kind of statement he was trying to make. How about he just left the hospital and he got home, right? This is his home. Sure, he's not on the second floor where the residence is, but this is his home. He arrived home, right? None of us, if we go out and about, none of us wear our masks inside of our house. It just doesn't happen, right? I wonder what narrative he's trying to push, says Wolf Blitzer. How about just he got home? After going to the hospital, he just climbed up the flight of stairs. He looked a little bit winded. Listen, he has COVID-19. He just climbed the stairs to the portico. Right? I don't even know if Joe Biden can climb the stairs out of his basement. But yeah, he took his mask off. He's home. The president of the United States is home. Be happy about that. Don't try and make everything he does into this crazy scandal. Everyone, again, make sure you hit share. And make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. So let's go ahead and play this. It gets worse. It gets worse. I have like 13 cuts of this garbage. It gets worse. Here's CNN playing a play-by-play of Trump removing his mask. Let's go ahead and play cut 3.
This is obviously
Here it's going to come. Here we go.
A very different
Takes it off.
and incorrect message.
And you see him here. He takes it off, and he's getting ready for his pictures. The flags flank him. Right, Caitlin? This is what he did. This is the moment. This is what he produced it for. He wants the image to be, I'm strong. This virus is nothing. His tweet today, feeling better than I did 20 years ago. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. There he is. This is the image he wants.
Yeah, and let us remind viewers now that the president is on steroids and a drug that fewer than 10 people outside of clinical trials have gotten inside the United States to deal with coronavirus. He had a level of treatment and a level of care that most Americans would not get. That's understandable. He is the president of the United States. Obviously, everyone expects that. But what the president is portraying by taking his mask off when he gets back to the Truman balcony to give this grand return to the White House is that everything is fine, and as he said, don't let coronavirus control your life. But that is very much still a president who has coronavirus. Despite the lights and the flags and the staged entrance that the president wants to create, he still has coronavirus, and he is only a few days into the diagnosis. And Aaron, today his doctor didn't reveal a lot of information, as he hasn't for the past 2 days. But
let's cut it. Let's cut it. This is he still has coronavirus. He still has coronavirus. Well, actually, we just heard from his doctor that he has no symptoms today. No symptoms. 0 symptoms. They're not actually using any evidence to say what they're saying. The doctors at Walter Reed had refused to say whether or not Trump had tested negative, citing HIPAA. Said, no, we're not going to reveal test results, private medical test results. We'll tell you how he's doing. We'll tell you what we're doing, but we're not going to reveal private medical test results. That's what they're complaining about. That's what they're complaining about. Nessa on YouTube says, I have a baby face. Oh, thank you. Richard says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Richard. Everyone, people saying, Scott on Facebook saying, get off my lawn. Yeah, it almost feels like a Gran Torino moment. Well, listen, it's not, this isn't any grand scheme to this, right? Oh, we got a troll. Who's our troll? Tracy. Tracy. Bye-bye, Tracy. Bye-bye, Tracy. Tracy's gone. Let's go ahead and put up the Trump tweet. Put up my screen, Mr. Producer. This is what Trump actually wrote. I will be leaving the great Walter Reed Medical Center today at 6:30 p.m. Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. We have developed under the Trump administration some really great drugs and knowledge. I feel better than I did 20 years ago. So when CNN says that Trump said, don't let it control your life, that's actually not what he said. He said, don't let it dominate your life. And there's a difference, right? We all understand that we need to keep vulnerable populations safe. We understand that we don't want to spread the virus as much as we can, right? But that there's a difference between saying that we're going to do our best to stop the spread, which is what this was all supposed to be about. Notice how the lockdowns haven't ended. There's a difference between that and saying, no, you have to let it dominate your life. Let it dominate your life. That's what they're mad about. Because he said, don't let it dominate your life. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to play Chris Cuomo yet. Chris Cuomo is a nut. Okay, I want to play this. I believe this is from CNN this morning. And CNN started playing that clip of Donald Trump taking the mask off. And their host frantically starts yelling at the producer, saying, take that off the screen. That will kill people. Watching President Trump arrive at home and take off his mask, standing on an empty portico, on an empty balcony, with no one around him, simply showing that he did that, according to CNN, will kill people. Let's go to cut 6.
We're looking at 210,000 Americans dead. We're seeing a rise in new daily cases. And the president, in that Sunset Boulevard gesture, whipped his mask off in front of the American people on the nightly news last night. So, as a doctor whose job it is, take it off. Please, don't even put it on the screen. Please take it off.
Don't say it.
Because that's going to kill people, Dr. Hotez. And I want to know what you thought when you saw that last night.
Don't let the American people see that when Trump got home, he took off his mask on an empty balcony to get some fresh air after he just climbed stairs after being diagnosed with COVID-19, right? Don't show people. That'll kill people. We can't let them see that Trump is doing well. That'll kill people. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to play Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo is a nut. But before I play it, I want everyone, if you haven't already, hit the share button. We got a lot of these to go through. Hit the share button on Facebook, like on Facebook, comment, and on YouTube. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the bell for notifications. All right, I don't know if I'll be able to play the whole thing because it's a lot of Chris Cuomo to handle. But let's go and play cut 4.
I am Chris Cuomo. Welcome to prime time, but more accurately, just welcome to the land of confusion. Is there anything more to say? Really? Do any of you not get what's happening? I know you go to your respective partisan corners, especially at this time of night, for succor, S-U-C-C-O-R, not S-U-C-K-E-R. I don't judge. Tell me why I'm right to hate him. Tell me why I'm right to love him. Does anybody really need to tell you anything? There he is, hair blown majestically, reshooting the scene for his own ad. I hold rallies, and I tell you to ignore masks, and I rip mine off as I vanquish the virus because I am a leader. Fear not, COVID. What a bunch of bullshit. Going back to the White House, if you want to know the reality, the truth, okay? The virus is the truth. The virus doesn't care about left and right. The virus does what's reasonable. You give me a chance, I'll spread. You keep away from me, you don't give me a chance, I run out of hosts, I die. I am the truth. If you're doing the right thing, you don't see me that much. If you're doing the wrong thing, you do.
All right, let's cut it. You go everywhere. I'm not going to judge. You go to Fox, you go to MSNBC to tell them why you should like the president, why you should hate the president. Then he proceeds to just crap all over the president. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. But, I mean, is anyone surprised? This is the same mainstream media that peddled the fake news Russia hoax, that peddled the impeachment nonsense. There has not been a scandal. Donald Trump can't sneeze without the mainstream media making a big deal out of it. No, not the anti-Trump media. I mean, is anyone... I'm getting tired of this. The President of the United States was flown to a hospital with a deadly pathogen. He's then back home in 3 days. And to show that he's not on death's door, something the media was trying to convince the American people for days prior, he walked up the steps to the portico, took his mask off, and saluted Marine One as it was leaving. And that is apparently going to kill people, according to CNN. It's going to kill people. Donald Trump got home and he took off his mask. Death! It's just so tiring. It's so very, very tiring. Let's get a bunch of this out of the way. This is a supercut put together by Grabian News. Let's go ahead and watch this. This is a supercut of liberals just freaking out, and then there's a little bit of Tucker in the middle. Let's go ahead and play cut 7.
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Almost 210,000 Americans are dead.
Jake, this is so disrespectful. I'm not even sure I can speak about this. It's incredibly disrespectful. What does that mean? Don't be afraid of it. I mean, first of all, it's a contagious disease that kills people.
What is going on? You know what's going on.
It's Tucker.
Fear works. The more afraid you are, the more you will accept. Again, a feature of human nature. The more cut off you are from your family and your friends, the more power they have to control you. This is an election year. Democrats want to win in November. The virus is their main shot to win. Nobody disputes that who's looked at the numbers. They're using fear of the coronavirus to achieve that.
It's gross.
It's such a distressing moment.
It's just so horrible, so destructive to say I feel better than I have in 20 years.
That he's saying this is so disrespectful.
The president says it's no big deal. I mean, it's outrageous. Speaking of outrageous, this outrageous tweet.
Oh my goodness, Nicole, when I saw that Trump, I mean, I literally was overwhelmed.
And now we see this tweet, which is heartless, it is cruel.
It is insulting to the people who have lost loved ones. It is insulting to every American who wears a mask. I mean, it's disgraceful, Wolf. It's absurd.
Don't tell your supporters, don't be afraid of COVID. Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life because it has dominated your life.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I saw that he said he feels better than he did in 20 years, and I'm just shaking. They don't want him to say that he feels good. Let's call a spade a spade. They want him to say it feels horrible. I'm dying. Everyone, the mainstream media has been telling the truth all along. Right? I'm dying. That's what they wanted to say. He says, you know what? I got experimental therapies. I feel good. I feel better than I have in 20 years. Listen, I'm 74 years old, and if I can beat it, then there's no reason. I mean, if Donald Trump can beat it, there's no reason for a father, a 40-year-old father, 30-year-old father, to be unemployed because his business isn't allowed to open yet. There's no reason for it. I mean, these lockdowns are ruining lives over a virus that even when you're 70-plus years old has an over 95% survival rate. I mean, this is crazy. The average age of death from coronavirus is the same as the life expectancy in the United States. I'm not saying that it's okay. Every life lost is terrible. But we destroyed the economy over this thing. That's why the media is frustrated. That's why that woman's literally shaking. It's because Donald Trump beat the thing, at least now, so far. I don't want to jinx it. But Donald Trump, after 3 days in the hospital with very minimal amounts of interventions, he's well enough to go home. You can't. It's so disrespectful to say that the virus is survivable. What's he supposed to say? If he didn't walk up the stairs and salute, they'd say, oh, he's too weak to go up the stairs. Right? If he had stayed in the hospital one day, they'd say, oh, wow, he's in the hospital. That means he must be having a turn for the worst. It's so nakedly political. And Tucker is right that they know the virus is the best chance they have to defeat Trump at the polls. And you see this latest poll out that Donald Trump is losing to Joe Biden by 14 points. Anyone see that poll? That oversamples Democrats, I think, by 11%. And instead of dealing with likely voters, just deals with registered voters, which basically means that they're polling people that don't even say that they're going to definitely vote a month away, less than a month. They're polling people that can't even say, I will definitely vote. Does it remind you of anything, Mr. Producer? Put up my screen. Would you be shocked to know that 4 years ago, almost to the day, 3 weeks away, 4 years ago to the month, new poll shows Clinton over Trump by double digits. A new ABC News tracking poll has Clinton with a 12-point lead over Donald Trump. Remember when Hillary Clinton said, Hillary Clinton's campaign said, my lead's so big, I don't even think about Donald Trump anymore. Well, obviously she didn't think about Minnesota, Wisconsin, didn't think about Michigan, didn't think about Pennsylvania. Almost got beat in Minnesota because she wasn't even thinking about the election. She was going to California to run up her popular vote totals and to fundraise. She didn't actually go to those states. So I just want to put that up because no one actually believes that Joe Biden is up by 14 points. Just like no one actually believed that Hillary Clinton was up by 14 points. Yes, and listen, when you take the poll in the week that the New York Times falsely claims Donald Trump didn't pay any income tax, that's now been refuted. He's paid millions of dollars in taxes those years. They took this poll the week that the New York Times said he doesn't pay tax, the week that the moderator tried to take him out in the debate, and the week that he got COVID-19. And after all of that, they call up and say, okay, registered voters, not even likely voters, just registered voters. Who are you going to support? You going to support Joe Biden? Or you going to support the person I just told you is now in the hospital with COVID-19? Because that's the way these polls work. These are largely push polls where they get to the questions, but a lot of these outlets will start with the other questions. Let's say, did you know that Donald Trump is in the hospital with COVID-19? Yes or no? And people say, no, I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. And said, did you know that Donald Trump is in a age bracket that puts him at the most at risk? Did you know that Donald Trump, being 74 years old, is at risk of dying from corona? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then they keep prodding them along, asking those questions about it. Did you know that Joe Biden wears a mask always to make sure that he doesn't get the coronavirus? Oh, I didn't know. Do you know that Donald Trump doesn't wear a mask everywhere he goes? Oh, wow. And after all of that, they say, who are you going to support in the election? You going to support Joe Biden or the guy who's in the hospital with COVID? Is anyone surprised that when you oversample Democrats and when you take a poll immediately after the president of the United States is hospitalized, that you would get ridiculous results? Is anyone shocked by that? Right? These are push polls. These are fake. That's what Trump means when he says they're fake polls. They're real polls. They ask the people the questions, but they oversample Democrats and they target them specifically at moments when they know they're going to get a good response. And by good response, they know they're going to get a response the way they want to get a response. It's the same reason all these major polling outlets didn't release a poll immediately after the Republican convention. Rasmussen was one of the only ones. I think there was only 2 or 3 outlets that actually released post-RNC polls. And by the time they actually put it out, it was too late to influence anything. They put out post-DNC polls, but they didn't do a post-RNC poll so that the headlines couldn't read Donald Trump gets bump after RNC. Listen, this is how the media works. It's not just fake news sharing fake stories, which they do. It's not just that. It's picking and choosing what they report on. Saying, no, we're not going to do a poll this week. I mean, think about that. Think about the RNC just ended and all these major outlets chose not to do a poll when every other time they've done polls. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. More people talking about my beard. Dan says, someone stole your beard. You look naked. Oh, no. I feel naked. Shay says, I wish I could look that young. Oh, thank you, Shay. Oh, man, my beard is becoming a thing. Let's keep going. Here's MSNBC. Here's Mika Brzezinski on MSNBC saying that when Donald Trump left the hospital, walked up to his house, took his mask off, and saluted Marine One, it was manslaughter. Let's go ahead and play cut 8.
You're a lawyer. Maybe the president's just immune from everything.
But yes, I am.
Because the president said to me, maybe I'm immune now. Is he legally immune? What if his Secret Service men and women who have to drive him around in these vans and get exposed to his deadly coronavirus, what if one of them gets sick and die? What if somebody at that Rose Garden event gets sick and dies? I don't want this to happen, and I wish for his health. But I'm just wondering, he's pushing all of this against the advice of the professionals in his government, against the advice of scientists. At some point, isn't this manslaughter? I mean, if you purposefully put people in a position where you send a deadly virus their way, what is that?
Well, that is a serious question, and I...
Well, not in California. California decriminalized the act of giving someone else AIDS. They lowered the penalty for deliberately giving someone AIDS. So I guess not in California. Trump can be what the media calls a super spreader in California all he wants. Isn't it manslaughter? So I don't want him to die, but let's continue with the hypothetical of how he's going to kill everyone. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Here's MSNBC calling Donald Trump Benito Mussolini. Let's play cut 9.
This is a Mussolini moment. Donald Trump, who looks like he has makeup on, which means somebody had to get close enough to make up his face with his favorite orange patina. He's standing there as if he is, a member of the old Russian Tsar family. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I guess it's his sort of discount Bolsonaro Nira. You suffered from COVID yourself. You know how to...
Let's cut it. It's his Mussolini moment. This woman is wearing a ton of makeup. Anyone who's on camera, on TV is wearing makeup. I guarantee whoever said that was not tested prior to having her makeup done. I guarantee whoever she had do her makeup professionally, which they all do, could have been exposed. She could have been a super spreader and not even know it. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's his Mussolini moment. Because he stood up there and saluted Marine One. These people are disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. Let's keep it going. Here's Joy Reid freaking out. Let's go ahead and play cut 10.
I want to echo, I think what can only be described as the shock. I think that we all feel there are moments in this job when you realize that you're witnessing some of the great horrors of history. This is a president who was just hospitalized for an intensely contagious disease. He is still highly contagious. Highly contagious. And the first thing we saw when Donald Trump returned to the White House, and this after he was at Walter Reed for 3 days, potentially with pneumonia related to COVID-19. He comes back to the White House, and the first thing that we saw him do after we saw the camera lights come on, because he's clearly shooting an advertisement, a video, a propaganda piece, whatever it is he's doing right now. The first thing he did was to take off his mask.
Cut it. The President of the United States recorded a video, an address to the nation, letting them know that he's okay. He's clearly shooting propaganda up on the portico without a mask. Super spreader. This is insane. And that's Joy Reid, who you'll remember, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up image number 7. This was Joy Reid just a couple of days ago. Here's how wrecked Trump's credibility is at this point. I've got a cell phone full of texts from people who aren't sure whether to believe Trump actually has COVID. He lies so much, one friend just texted. Is he just doing this to get out of the debates? Others are texting. That was Joy Reid on October 2nd. So on October 2nd, she was furthering this conspiracy theory that he didn't actually have COVID. Right? There was tons of people on the left that said Trump doesn't have COVID. He's just doing this to get out of the debates. He just doesn't want to debate Joe. Because Joe's such a fiery debater. So that was October 2nd, right? That was last week. Then Donald Trump gets in his motorcade and drives down the road to wave to the supporters who had been out there for 24 plus hours, waving Trump flags and praying for him. And then the same people who said Trump doesn't really have COVID said, oh, super spreader. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Sorry, my cord is falling out of my headset. It's insane. They say he doesn't have COVID. He gets in the car and they say, oh, he has COVID. And this woman doesn't know his viral load. I mean, that's how actually dangerous this is. Trump received a number of therapies specifically to limit his viral load. What is the viral load? The viral load is the measurement of just how much virus is in you, right? Because we know from COVID-19, and again, check with your CDC, check with the WHO, even though the WHO just reduced their case fatality numbers as a percentage and admitted that it's much lower than they thought. But obviously, Facebook, YouTube, disclaimer, make sure you follow your guidance. But we know that COVID-19, the disease itself, isn't what kills most people. It's the body's reaction to COVID-19. It's this idea that a new novel virus comes into your system, your body's never seen anything like it before, and overreacts, sends the white blood cells at it, overreacts. It's an overreaction. What's it says? The cytokine storm? I'm not a doctor. It's something, I think it's a cytokine storm, cytokine storm, something like that. That's your body's overreaction to this new novel virus that just went into you. So it is possible to be dying from COVID and not be contagious, right? People who die from COVID aren't necessarily contagious. They don't necessarily have a high enough viral load to be contagious because the virus isn't what kills you. Like there are many other viruses. The virus itself kills you, right? It's the body's overreaction in many cases, flooding the area, flooding the lungs with white blood cells to try and push back the virus. That's what ultimately does it for a lot of people. So when MSNBC says he's clearly very contagious, they don't know that. They did not get a report of his viral load. They did not get that report. For all they know, he's showing minimal virus because the therapies might have worked, right? They're not actually giving news. They're giving their opinions. And these aren't doctors. I'm not a doctor either. I admit I'm not a doctor. Make sure you consult with a doctor. Make sure you consult with the experts like Tony Fauci. Huh? I'm not an expert. But I've been hearing enough of this to know that you can test you cannot be contagious and still die from the virus. So to say that Donald Trump is actually contagious without actually seeing any of the test results, it's medical malpractice. Absolutely is. If a Republican had said that about Joe Biden or about Barack Obama, they'd be tossed off the air for daring to opine about someone's medical history without actually knowing. If someone said that the president of the United States is dying from something that they don't necessarily know it's true, they'd be taken off the air, right? It would be the biggest fake news moment ever. But they think they have cover. They think that you're stupid enough to just buy whatever they're selling. I'll say it again. Please do hit the share button on Facebook. Please do like, comment, and on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. It's just, it pisses me off because I feel worn down. If we're being completely honest, I feel worn down because we've been fighting against this BS for years. And listen, if Joe Biden was truly up by 14 points, the media wouldn't be doing this. The media would be saying, oh, look, Donald Trump's dying. Oh, well, he's going to lose. Let's cover Joe Biden's event instead. Right? If they actually believe the numbers, they wouldn't be fighting this hard to drag this man through the mud. I don't know. It feels like a very concerted effort just to try and steal this election. I won't put this up. Let's go ahead and put up image number 2. This is Jim Acosta, a member of the White House press pool, reporting for CNN, calling Donald Trump coronavirus in chief. Trump takes off mask as he returns to White House. That's Jim Acosta, White House correspondent for CNN, calling the duly elected commander-in-chief, president of the United States, leader of the free world, calling him coronavirus in chief. Does anyone really think that a conservative reporter would get away with calling Barack Obama something like that? Does anyone seriously think they'd get away with it? Anyone seriously think a conservative, if Barack Obama had been leaving and said, I'm not going to take any questions, like Trump did yesterday, does anyone really think that a conservative would have gotten away with screaming and saying, are you a super spreader? Which is what he did yesterday. I mean, it's really unbelievable. Let's go ahead and put up my screen, Mr. Producer. This is the reporter who did it. His name is Hunter Walker. And he said, I asked President Trump how many of his staffers are sick and whether he is a super spreader. He ignored me and simply said, thank you very much, everyone. And here's Dan Bongino saying, imagine being such a colossal a-hole that you tweet this, thinking it makes you look good. LOL, what a toolbox. Like, they actually think that shouting down the president of the United States as he's leaving the hospital and accusing him of being a super spreader, they actually think that that's going to get them brownie points in their little anti-Trump media clubhouse. It's just, like, come on. It's just, enough's enough. Just join the Joe Biden campaign. Just become a surrogate. Stop pretending that you're a journalist. Just become a surrogate. Come on. Let's go ahead and put up this. This is image 3. Take off my screen, put up image 3. This is Caitlin Collins. She's another one of the White House correspondents for CNN, saying only days into his diagnosis, the first thing President Trump does when he gets back to the White House is take his mask off. Yes, like many Americans, Caitlin, upon returning home from the hospital, Donald Trump removed their protective equipment. But the amazing thing is that Caitlin Collins, if that name sounds familiar, it should. Because Caitlin Collins doesn't like to wear masks either. Let's go ahead and play cut 11. Here you can see Caitlin Collins in the White House briefing room. Do we have that cut, Mr. Producer? Extended. Caitlin's there in the pink. She stands up, thinks the cameras are off, and whoosh, mask comes off. Super spreader. Super spreader. Let's play that one more time. I want you to see how super spreading she is. Let's play cut 11 one more time. And there she is. Door closes. She thinks that the whole thing is off. Cameras are off. Stands up. Rips off the mask. Potentially infects 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people potentially infected by that super spreader. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, Caitlin. And maybe a-holes like you shouldn't be in the White House press pool. Let's just go with that. They truly think that they're untouchable. Like, if you're on camera ripping off your mask, you shouldn't be criticizing other people for doing it. Because unlike her, Donald Trump didn't rip his mask off and then walk by 4 people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So let's play. I want to make sure, because CNN called it propaganda. After Trump went up, we saw the video of Trump going up the stairs. He salutes the Marine One, and then he turns around and he records a video. And MSNBC, CNN are saying, oh, he's doing propaganda. That's what he's doing. He's doing that propaganda, that Trump propaganda. Don't listen to him. Just listen to us. And when CNN aired the footage, said, no, take that off. That's literally death. Don't let the people see the president is healthy. Literal death. Let's play what Trump actually said. Let's go ahead and play cut 12.
I just left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it. I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and it all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved, and the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much. And Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.
So that was propaganda. And listen, if Donald Trump had recorded this inside, they'd say, how dare you record inside? Don't you know that there's not enough ventilation? He did it outside. And they still said the same thing. So the president of the United States is not allowed to address the nation ever. Like, come on. Really? And what he said is absolutely true. He said, be careful, but don't let it dominate your life. I want to show you what I think he means by dominate your life. Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and put up my screen. This is straight from the office of the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Going out to eat with members of your household this weekend? Don't forget to keep your mask on in between bites. Do your part to keep those around you healthy. Slow the spread. And then it's a graphic of a woman wearing the mask while she is reading the menu, takes a bite, puts the fork down, and immediately puts the mask back on. Now listen. Yes, I agree. It's stupid. The idea that you have to wear a mask as you're walking to your table, you don't have to wear a mask at the table, and then you have to wear a mask as you're leaving the restaurant, it's very stupid. But all we've been told this whole time is once your mask is on, don't touch it. Don't keep touching your face. Joe, when he's on, he always says, listen, just don't lick people. Same principle. Don't touch your face. It's the office of the governor of California. Their official recommendation is keep touching your face in between bites as you are putting food into your mouth, which I will remind everyone is a mucous membrane. They want you to keep touching your face as you are eating, as you are drinking, touching the mask, taking it off, putting it back on, touching it. No, when it's off, it's off. Stop touching it. Take it off. Sanitize your hand, because you touch your straw, you just might as well have just licked the outside of your mask. I mean, that's what passes for advice these days. And then the other ones, we covered it before. Make sure you wear a mask when you're having sex with your significant other. What? I don't want to know what these people are into, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sherry says, haha, yep, touch that mask every 2 seconds. I know. When I wear a mask outside, which I have to do when I go into stores, and also my wife is due to give birth any day, which I'll remind you, there will be a day where Joe will be solo this month. It'll be at least one day where he'll be solo. I won't be here because my wife will be giving birth. But just a heads up, that will happen. Maybe I'll call in from the triage room. No, she would kill me. She would kill me if I did that. But when I wear a mask, it's to protect my wife. I'm convinced that I had it, even though my test was negative. I'm convinced I had it because I was sicker back in January. I was really sick this year too. When I wear a mask, I don't touch my mask. I keep it on. I just don't touch it, right? Because if the logic is true, the mask, we all know it's true, right? If you cough in, we've always been told cough into your hand, cough into your elbow, cough into your sleeve, because you don't want to cough onto people. And yes, if you cover your mouth, you're less likely to breathe in particles. I mean, we all accept that. We've been taught that our entire lives, right? It's not a modern advice. To touch the outside of the mask, though, defeats the entire purpose of it. So saying, as you're eating, take your mask off, put it down, eat, put it back on, touch your straw, drink, put the straw down, take the mask off. It's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. But no, that's what passes for medical advice these days. I want to shame Joe Biden a little bit. Let's put up image 4. Joe Biden said he was not going to do any negative campaigning while Donald Trump was sick. Now, just because Trump has left the hospital does not mean he is not sick. There's basically, at Walter Reed, anyone doesn't know, there's a presidential entire wing where it's basically a mini version of the White House, where he has a conference room, he has an area where you can watch TV, he has a sleeping quarters, right? He has all the stuff he would need at the White House there at Walter Reed Medical Center in Bethesda. I think it's Bethesda. It might be right on the edge of Bethesda. I forget the town that's right next to it. So when Trump went to the White House, what the doctor said is he's not out of the woods yet, but he's doing better, and we have just as good of medical equipment at the White House, so he can still receive treatment there as opposed to being at the at the medical center at Walter Reed. Joe Biden said he was going to stop with the negative ads, stop with the negative posts about Trump. Trump was not even home for an hour when this garbage came out from Joe Biden. Masks save lives. Masks matter. They save lives. Mask shaming Donald Trump. Well, I wanted to put this up. Go ahead and take that off the screen, Mr. Producer. Let's go ahead and put up image 5. If masks save lives, then why is Joe Biden standing less than 6 feet away from first responders and spitting all over them without a mask on? And hat tip to Abigail Maroney, who put these out there. If masks save lives, why is Joe Biden, potential super spreader, endangering these first responders? It's a really important question. Let's go ahead and put up image number 6. If masks save lives, why is Joe Biden getting in this police officer's grill without a mask on? No, listen, the officer has a mask, but as we know, the mask's primary use, according to Fauci and everyone, is to stop you from giving germs to someone else. Unless you have an N95 or something with a secure seal, something can get into you. So if masks save lives, Joe Biden, why is every time you're photographed with a first responder, you're spitting all over them? Like, come on, let's call the spade a spade. Whether you agree with the mask mandates or not, Joe Biden is a hypocrite. He wears a mask when he's on camera. When he thinks that no one's watching, just like that other CNN reporter, he takes his face diaper off. Takes the face diaper off. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What else do I have to get to? That was the big one. I want to play this one because this kind of is related. So Donald Trump said, don't let the virus dominate you. But if we're being completely honest, the virus isn't what's dominating us. It's the people in power who have decided that they're going to use the virus as an excuse to seize these emergency powers and to ruin people's lives. We've been saying this for months. As soon as these people got these emergency powers, you would never be able to claw them away. It would never happen. I want to play this clip. This was from Governor Andrew Cuomo, brother of Chris Cuomo, the governor of New York. I want to play this clip saying that he's going to go after the synagogues and shut them down Let's go ahead and play cut 13.
I mean, it's just not enough. And then you have the political overlay. You're dealing with government saying to religions, you shouldn't have more than X people in your church or your mosque or your temple. That's a politically uncomfortable situation. You know, I have to say to the Orthodox community tomorrow, if you're not willing to live with these rules, then I'm going to close the synagogues. I have had a 30-year relationship with the Orthodox community. It goes back to my father. I have a very close personal relationship with them. This is the last thing I want to do. Forget the politics. I don't care about that anymore. Personally, I don't want to have this conversation. It's a difficult conversation. And you're right on the line of government intrusion on religion. So
You're
it's
not right on
hard.
the line. You've crossed the line.
I didn't want to close down 1,000 bars, put people out of work. You know, it's hard. But I know.
Let's go ahead and cut it. I'm done with this guy. So he says if you have too many Jews under one roof, he's going to shut you down. Listen, I thought we had the First Amendment to protect against this kind of crap. First Amendment says that the government can't shut you down. Freedom of worship. You're not allowed. The government can't just say, nope, you can't worship. And I want to show you why this is happening in New York. Mr. Producer, put up my screen. These are the 9 zip codes that are now being put back into COVID-19 lockdowns in New York City. You have Far Rockaway, Edgemere region. You have 6 zip codes in southern Brooklyn. And then you have 2 zip codes around Kew Gardens in Queens. 9 total zip codes that are now going to be forced back into the draconian COVID lockdowns. Non-essential businesses cannot be open. Schools must be closed. Why? Because they've had too many consecutive days over 3%. What does that mean? That means of all the people who are tested in these areas, 3% of the tests are coming back positive. So because they've had too many days above 3%, the governor and the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, have determined that those zip codes should not have businesses anymore. They should not exist. There should not be schools in those zip codes. Go ahead and take it off the screen, Mr. Producer. I wanted to show you just how stupid this is. And I thought I had the image, but I have to pull it up right now. Give me 1 second. Okay, Mr. Producer, put on my screen again. So, this is Brooklyn. These are Brooklyn's zip codes. These are artificial lines that the United States Postal Service has drawn in one of the boroughs of New York. And as you can see, most of these lines just follow streets. They don't go through houses, they follow streets. So what's happening, and I want to make sure I get this absolutely right, is you have this one, 11219, 11204, 11223, I believe it's 11230, and then I think it's 11210. It's these 5 right here, you can see with my mouse. These 5. What's happening is non-essential businesses in those 5 zip codes are no longer allowed to be open. Schools are no longer allowed to be open. Places of worship are now back down to 25% total capacity. And the result is absolutely ridiculous. So I wanted to pull this out. This is, I believe that this, let me make sure I get this right. This is a restaurant called Chilango Tacos. Chilango Tacos. I want to make sure I get the right address right. Yes, this is 11219. This is in a zip code, and this is going to get a little bit trippy. We're on Google Street View right now. This is Chilango Taco, a taco place in the 11219 zip code in Brooklyn. According to the mayor and the governor, they can no longer have people inside. No longer. They can no longer have people inside. They're not even allowed to serve people on their patio. Right? They're in full lockdown. Here's the issue. If you turn a little bit, and it's going to get a little trippy for people, we're now going to jump to the other side of the street. Boom! That's a taco house right there. That's in a different zip code, and that one's allowed to be open. Open fully. They can serve. You can walk in for it, right? You don't have to just have delivery. You can walk in, get your food. You can eat on the patio. No lockdown restrictions there. On this side of the road, no lockdown restrictions. But if you look over here, full lockdown restrictions. And I had a bunch of these. Where you can literally go around New York and you can find that on one side of the street, it's one zip code. The other side of the street, it's another zip code. So you have one where it's a synagogue on one side and a church on the other. They're different zip codes, maybe 100 yards total apart, but one's allowed to have more people inside than the other. The virus doesn't listen to zip codes. Listen, regardless of what you think about the virus, no virus, listen, it's a smart virus. We can never forget how smart this virus is. This virus is so smart. You need to be tested to know you have it. Never forget that. But the virus is not so smart that it would know to infect people on one side of the street and not on the other. That's how ludicrous this is. We go back to my screen. You see all of these lines. All of these lines. These are the problem areas, according to the mayor and governor of New York. One step over that line right there, when you go from 11223 into 11214, one step across the street, no, there's no virus there. But you take a step on the other side of the street, oh, too much virus. No schools. No synagogues. No Jews. I mean, listen, when you have to give a press conference promising that it's not anti-Semitism, it's just science. And Donald Trump is a Nazi? Just saying. When you're holding press conference talking about how Jews shouldn't be allowed to gather, and then you turn around and you call Donald Trump a Nazi who is a grandfather to a Jewish grandchild. I don't know. You be the judge of that one. I just think it's really interesting that we have these lockdowns, and we covered it in our Facts Blast today. If you want to help support the channel, go to our Facebook page and check out our Facts Blast campaign for the day. Go to conservative-daily.com. Check out our Facts Blast campaign for the day. If you haven't already, make sure you join our email newsletter. That's how we help raise money and help support the channel. We do have a caller, but we don't have time for the caller. I'm sorry, Kevin from Chicago. Call back tomorrow, and I promise I'll get you on. I'm sorry, Kevin. I was in a zone. I didn't see that. I'll take that. I missed it. I'm sorry, Kevin from Chicago. Call back tomorrow. I'll be happy to have you on. I look at this, and the virus doesn't know zip codes. And the reason they're doing this is because they're expecting a bailout. So right now in Congress, you have the HEROES Act. Originally, the HEROES Act was named after police officers, but after George Floyd, Fentanyl Floyd, died, Democrats said we don't want to honor police officers anymore. So now one of the heroes that the HEROES Act honors is illegal aliens. Funny how that works. Not police anymore, it's illegal aliens. The HEROES Act includes, the Democrats want to include in this, close to $1 trillion of unrestricted, no strings attached funding for cities and states. What that means is Congress gives them the money and they can do whatever they want with it. Do whatever they want with it. If a city like Chicago, instead of helping businesses rebuild, wants to just funnel it into the teachers union, into their pension plans, they can do it. Right? If Illinois wants to prop up their lottery, which is going bankrupt every couple of years, it seems, they can do it. Right? If New York wants to use it to fund defending a lawsuit against the NRA, because the NRA is suing them, they can do it. If California wants to use it to reimburse the program that was giving benefits to illegal aliens affected by the pandemic, California can do it. That's what no strings attached means. They expect to be bailed out for this nonsense. The city of New York, the state of New York, think that they can just kill 5 zip codes while allowing businesses on the other side of the road to prosper, because New York is expecting a lot of money from Nancy Pelosi's bill. Why would we do that? I'm not saying that these people don't deserve to be helped. We should be giving the funding to the families, to the businesses, to the employees, right? To the churches that have been forced to close so they haven't had any collections. People keep talking about this like, oh, well, you don't need to go to church. Just do it online. Well, no, the church isn't able to collect as much money because they're not able to pass the basket around for collections. right? You're not able to collect as much money to help keep the place running, right? There are churches now, they're going bankrupt. The Catholic schools in New York are reorganizing because they can't afford to keep them open if they're not allowed to have kids inside. You're losing Catholic schools in New York. The result is kids who want to be in Catholic school are going to have to go across the city to get to school. There's not going to be a Catholic school in their neighborhood anymore. Why? Because you're not allowed to go into a Catholic church because it's too dangerous. So no baskets are getting passed around and no one's donating money. Now, people can still donate, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's a direct cause and effect to this. Right? So they want to get bailed out. But no, we shouldn't be helping Mayor de Blasio. We shouldn't be helping Governor Cuomo. We should be helping the people that are being affected by their tyranny directly. Give it directly. If we're going to do it at all, give it directly to the businesses, directly to business owners, directly to employees, directly to families, directly to parents, directly to nonprofit organizations like churches, synagogues, mosques that have been completely ripped apart by this. Don't give it to the cities and states because you know none of it's going to get to the people that they've negatively affected. They're not even willing to admit that they did anything wrong. Governor Cuomo is still saying he did not put COVID positive patients in nursing homes. He's still saying he didn't do it, even though there is an executive order bearing his name ordering nursing homes to admit COVID positive patients. They will not pass along any money they get to the people they hurt. That's why they are fighting so hard for it to be no strings attached. Republicans introduced an amendment that actually says, okay, we'll give you all the money, but it has to be used for a budget item, for a red line item, something you're in the red, a budget shortfall. It has to be used for a budget shortfall that is post-pandemic, meaning it was caused by the pandemic or caused by the lockdowns. You cannot use the funding for anything that predates the pandemic, any budget item that predates the pandemic. Democrats said, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. Why is that not fair, Democrats? Oh, because we just need it to be unrestricted. Well, because they want to give it to the public sector unions, right? They want to use it for illegal aliens. You get my drift? They want to use it to go after the NRA. That's what unrestricted money means. As soon as it enters their bank account, no strings attached. Money's fungible, right? Money's completely fungible. You put it in their bank account, yes, they're going to use it for other things than what you thought. We can't let it happen. We have to kill the HEROES Act. And that's not to say I don't want people to have help. That's not to say I don't want people who need help to get the help. Because listen, the virus didn't do this to us. The virus did not cause restaurants to go out of business. There was a restaurant down the street from me I went to all the time. Closed, gone. God bless them. There's a new restaurant coming in. It's opening soon. God bless them. I hope that Texas doesn't lock down again, because if they do, they're going to be a loser too. Right? What is it? Yelp is reporting that 60% of their customers, 60% of businesses closed down for good. No, not business. 60% of restaurants closed down for good. The virus didn't do that. The virus didn't do that. The lockdowns did. And then you look at somewhere like Nashville, where Nashville closed the bars, closed the restaurants, said you're not allowed to have in-person dining. And then they got caught emailing each other. The mayor's office and the mayor's team got caught emailing each other, admitting that they can't actually trace an increase in COVID positive cases to bars or restaurants, but they're not going to tell the public because that would lose confidence in their no restaurant, no bar order. So they actually kept that from the public. There was evidence that the lockdowns of the restaurants and the bars was not stopping the spread of COVID-19, and that people were catching COVID-19 in other places. And that the restaurants that did still have some that were still open were not reporting an increase in cases. The mayor's office in Nashville withheld that. They kept that secret from the public, and they kept pushing the narrative that, yes, we have to close down the restaurants, have to close down the bars, because the science demands it, even though the science was telling them something completely different. So no, the virus didn't do this to us. The virus did not do this to us. Rhonda just said AMC and Regal theaters have shut down. Yes, that is not the virus. That is the politicians, right? As the politicians, they have not been identified as super spreader places. Right? I'm sure that people caught the virus going into places like that, but I haven't seen any news reports that AMC or Regal were super spreader hives. I don't even know if that's a thing. That's probably a thing. That's probably what they call it. There wasn't any evidence of it, but they shut it down because the government said don't go. Not because the government has evidence, because the government says we think it's probably best that you don't go. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Target, go to Home Depot, you can go to other stores that happen to be traded on the stock exchange, But I'm sorry, movie theaters. I'm sorry, mom and pop movie theaters especially. You're just done. It's not the virus that did this, people. It is the government. And that's why, just to wrap this all up, that's why Trump says, don't let the virus dominate you. Don't let the politicians dominate you, because the virus isn't dominating you. Listen, I get it. A lot of people were nervous when this first started, my wife included. I was even a little nervous too, right? We were getting packages from Amazon, afraid to bring them inside because it was like, oh, the virus can live on porous surfaces like cardboard for up to 3 days. And we were nervous. We were very nervous. But we couldn't, we had to get past it, right? And then we learned that, oh, the virus actually dies in heat and humidity. Well, Texas, great. So there was a lot of uncertainties, but we don't have those uncertainties anymore. This really isn't a novel virus anymore. We know a lot about what this virus does. We know how to keep people safe. We know how to get about our lives without living in fear. And that's what Donald Trump's talking about. But the politicians want you to live in fear, because living in fear helps lead to a Democrat victory in November and helps lead to their hold on power. Amazing. Amazing. History is going to write that this was one of the greatest lies perpetrated on the American people ever. This idea that you cannot go to church, you cannot go to a synagogue on one side of the street, but you can on the other. It's up to us to fight back. Up to us to vote. Up to us to get people to the polls. And if you happen to know a Biden supporter, up to us to convince them to change their mind. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. Hope you liked it. I went through a lot of stuff. Make sure if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Hit that share button. It really does help us. Facebook's still throttling us. Hit that share button and comment on YouTube. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. It does really help us. Hit that subscribe button. We go live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then hit the bell for notifications. Really do appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. Also, if you like the audio, the video version of the podcast, we also have an audio version. And the biggest outlet for that is Apple Podcasts. There we are at 120 biggest political podcasts in America. We need your help to get into the top 100. We really want to do that. So make sure you check out the link in the description to leave us a review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and give us 5 stars. Really would appreciate it. But we're also on other places. We're on Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. So if you don't like Apple Podcasts, you don't have an iPhone or Mac, check us out there. We also have a link, as I mentioned in the description, to join our email newsletter. Very important. We're on Parler at Conservative Daily. If you follow us, we'll be happy to follow you back. There is a link for you to check out our merch if you want to help support the channel. Also, if you are listening and you want to watch the live version, every day we see people who are watching the live saying, oh, wow, I'm so great to finally watch it live. Make sure you follow, like and follow our Facebook page. Do both. Don't just follow, like and follow. And then on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Very, very important. We go live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're listening to the audio, check us out in the video version as well. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. Again, my name is Max McGuire, and remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all fight together.